Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to go over an article titled How to Disagree with Someone More Powerful Than You by Amy Gallo, which was written on Forbes.com. So a lot of times people have disagreements with their boss or people that are in positions of influence or power over them. And that can cause them a lot of anxiety when they know they have to have this conversation and they're not really sure how it's going to go. So I wanted to take a look at what the author says and then add a few other tips that I found useful too. And these tips can be used not just to help with difficult conversations or conversations that cause you anxiety with a boss or someone in a position of influence, but just people in general. So, let's go ahead and get right into it. So the article, How to Disagree with Someone More Powerful Than You by Amy Gallo. Your boss proposes a new initiative you think won't work. Your senior colleague outlines a project timeline you think is unrealistic. What do you say when you disagree with someone who has more power than you do? How do you decide whether it's worth speaking up? And if you do, what exactly should you say? So what the experts say. It's a natural human reaction to shy away from disagreeing with a superior. Our bodies specialize in survival, so we have a natural bias to avoid situations that might harm us, says Joseph Grenny, the co-author of Crucial Conversations, great book by the way, and co-founder of Vital Smarts, a corporate training company. The heart of anxiety is that there will be negative implications, adds Holly Weeks, the author of Failure to Communicate. We immediately think he's not going to like me, she's going to think I'm a pain, or maybe even I'll get fired. Although it's just plain easier to agree, Weeks says, that's not always the right thing to do. Here's how to disagree with someone more powerful than you. So, tip 1, be realistic about the risks. Most people tend to overplay the risks involved in speaking up. Our natural bias is to start by imagining all the things that will go horribly wrong, Grenny says. Yes, your counterpart might be surprised and a little upset at first, but chances are you're not going to get fired or make a lifelong enemy. He suggests you consider the risks of not speaking up. Perhaps the project will be derailed or you'll lose the team's trust. Then realistically weigh those against the potential consequences of taking action. So, yeah, I meant the article mentions Crucial Conversations before, so I just want to mention here that book, there's a key part in it in which the author discusses the idea of telling yourself a story. For example, if you have ever dreaded a conversation with someone that you foresee being less than pleasant, so what you'll do is you'll lie awake late at night, tossing and turning, and just dreading how that conversation's gonna go. You picture them yelling at you, embarrassing you, getting fired. And when that conversation actually happens, though, it's nothing like what you dreamed it was going to be. What had happened was you told yourself a fictional story complete with characters, dialogue, scenery, all that stuff. So in a real life example of this, I was hardcore stressing out this one time about a conversation in which I was irritated with a coworker, and I was explaining to another colleague the situation as to why I didn't really want to have this conversation with that person. And again, I was telling them, I dreaded it. I didn't know what they were going to say. And after I got done explaining everything to them, my other colleague simply said, so did they actually say that to you? And I said, no, we haven't had the conversation yet. And then he said, so why are you putting words in their mouth? Are you so special that you can preemptively know what someone else is going to say or how they're going to respond? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, then give them the respect to respond the way they choose to. So, when when it was broken down for me like that, it was more apparent that the reason people are afraid of having conversations with superiors or people they don't really get along with is because they haven't done the work, or the other person also hasn't done the work in building sort of a mutual trust between the two people involved. At one job I had, we used to call it making deposits in the trust bank. The more you cultivate a relationship with someone built on trust, the more your mutual trust bank grows. When the time comes to have a difficult conversation, a bank that is full won't be affected when a withdrawal is made. But if the bank is nearly empty and a withdrawal is made, aka a difficult conversation happens, it could potentially bankrupt the trust between the two of you, little as it was. So, she continues, tip number 2, decide whether to wait. After this risk assessment, you might decide it's best to hold off on voicing your opinion. Maybe you haven't finished thinking the problem through, the whole discussion was a surprise to you, or you want to get a clearer sense of what the group thinks, says Weeks. If you think other people are going to disagree too, you might want to gather your army first. People can contribute experience or information to your thinking, all the things that would make the disagreement stronger or more valid. It's also a good idea to delay the conversation if you're in a meeting or a public space. Discussing the issue in private will make the powerful person feel less threatened. So I used to have a real issue with when I would react to like these terse, blunt emails I'd get. And so my reaction would always to be like, send a reply right away and basically regret what I did the second my mouse finger finished clicking. So this bit me quite a bit. A good technique that helped me when I get an email that made me upset is to hit reply and then delete the name of the person who sent it. Remember, delete the name of the person who sent it. This is really important. I'd actually type out exactly what I want to say to that person, and I'd get out all the emotion I was feeling. And then I'd get up and leave the email and go do something else away from my computer. And after a while, I'd come back, reread what I'd sent, and then delete the entire thing. Then I'd type out what I should say, and this kind of helped me sift through the motions and respond more rationally. So, the important thing is to not rush in all the time, guns a-blazing. If it's not an email that sets you off, but someone's reaction or something they said that you disagree with, and you're feeling really emotional about it, write out what you want to say to them, in your mind, what you're thinking, and then take some time to collect your thoughts and come back to it later, and then kind of figure out, okay, which taking out all the emotion, what should I actually say to the person? Finally, when approaching your supervisor with an issue, one thing I always like to ask myself if I'm not sure if I should take a stand on something is this the hill I want to stand on? As the author says, you have to decide whether it's worth it or not. If something is clearly wrong or you're not being thought out well by your supervisor and they need to know what you're thinking, you definitely need to say something. Like they said, you have to make sure, because if you don't say something, it could have other negative implications. But if it isn't something that's really going to greatly affect you or the team or anything that's a big deal, decide if you even want to bring it up. As the saying goes, you got to pick your battles. You don't want to be that person that every time, something is said that you disagree with, you want to say something. Then you go in the opposite direction. You have a reputation of just being a whiner. So continuing on, she says, identify a shared goal. Before you share your thoughts, think about what the powerful person cares about. It may be the credibility of their team or getting a project done on time. You're more likely to be heard if you can connect on your disagreement to a higher purpose. When you do speak up, don't assume the link will be clear. You'll want to state it overtly, contextualizing your statements so that you're not seen as a disagreeable underling, but as a colleague who's trying to advance a shared goal. The discussion will then become more like a chess game than a boxing match, says Weeks. Next tip, she says, ask permission to disagree. This step might seem overly deferential, but according to Grenny, it's a smart way to give a powerful person psychological safety and control. You can say something like, I know we seem to be moving forward toward a first quarter commitment here. I have reasons to think that won't work. I'd like to lay out my reasoning. Would that be okay? This gives the person a choice, allowing them to verbally opt in, says Grenny, and assuming they say yes, it will make you feel more confident about voicing your disagreement. So this can be a tricky one, especially when you don't have a good relationship with the person in charge. Instead of making it seem like a formal thing, it might be better to make it a bit less like you're trying to infringe on their decision. So simply asking someone if they're open to feedback is also a way to broach this conversation. Just saying something like, hey, you got a second to chat? I've been going over things and was wondering if we could talk about it if you're open to some feedback. And again, like the author states, that gives them the option to, take you up or not. Here's the thing, though. No one is going to agree with you no one is going to agree with anyone 100% of the time. Disagreeing is normal, and in fact, it should be encouraged. If you're a supervisor, you should encourage people to, speak up when there's an issue. Disagreements need to be hashed out. If a supervisor doesn't want to hear feedback from their subordinates, they aren't going to be very successful. Disagree with confidence. If you have facts and are genuinely concerned, you need to voice those concerns. In my experience, what upsets most supervisors is not that people disagree with them, it's that they disagree inappropriately. So what I mean by that is, think about this. Have you ever been in a meeting where a decision is made and everyone seems to be in agreement, and then someone who never said anything in the meeting talks to everyone after the meeting about how stupid that decision was? Or maybe the meeting is over and they wait until everyone leaves and then they voice their concerns to the boss while no one else is in the room. That's the stuff that's going to irritate the boss. So if you have all these concerns, you need to do it in the right forum. Don't just, if the boss is looking for feedback, don't wait and then kind of blindside them unless, new information comes to light. But, you gotta respect the process too. So continuing on, next tip, stay calm. You might feel your heart racing or your face turning red, but do whatever you can to remain neutral in both your words and actions. When your body language communicates reluctance or anxiety, it undercuts the message. Weeks says it sends a mixed message and your counterpart gets to choose what to read. Deep breaths can help as speaking more slowly and deliberately. When we feel panicky, we tend to talk louder and faster. You don't want to be mousy or talk in a whisper, but simply slowing the pace and talking in an even tone helps calm the other person down and does the same for you, says Grenny. It also makes you seem confident even when you aren't. So whenever you're having a meeting with your boss, especially or anyone that's kind of an authority figure, you need to write down an agenda. You should never go into a meeting with a supervisor or a person in authority without an agenda if you can help it. Even if it's like one or two things like on your list, make sure you write down what you want to talk about. Even script it out. You don't have to follow it exactly and read it, but write down what you want to talk about, because it's going to help you stay focused, calm, and on topic. The panicked emotions come from the uncertainty because you're expecting a predetermined outcome. Remember to let that person respond the way they want to. Even if they respond negatively, that's okay. Your mission and goal is to share your perspective and nothing more. What they do with it is on them. If they hate you for having valid concerns, that says more about them than about you. Again, bosses that can't handle feedback aren't going to last long and won't be able to keep good employees around either. Next point, validate the original point. After you've gotten permission, articulate the other person's point of view. What is the idea, opinion, or proposal that you're agreeing with? Stating that clearly, possibly even better than your counterpart did, lays a strong foundation for the discussion. You want your counterpart to say she understands. You don't want to get in a fight about whether you get her point. So the thing is, a lot of times disagreements just come from a simple misunderstanding. It's always good to start with clarifying questions to make sure you understand the decision that was made. If it turns out you just didn't understand, you might end up feeling kind of silly. So start with things like, hey, I wanted to make sure I understood correctly. So in the meeting we talked about X and decided to go that way. But if that's the case, I was wondering if we should consider some other options first. I just want to make sure because I looked through the data again and it looks like this is going to happen. So can you just run me through this one more time or clarify what's going on? That way it's more of a conversation and you're starting from a point of mutual understanding. Remember, your boss is usually going to have more information on certain things than you do and may not be able to share all those details with you. They're also being told things from their bosses, so it might not be entirely their decision, and they may not be able to give you the answers you want, not because they don't want to, but because they're not allowed to. So that could be a reason also why they aren't really open to, your feedback at that time. Next tip, don't make judgments. When you move on to expressing your concerns, watch your language carefully. Avoid any judgment words such as short-sighted, foolish, or hasty that might set off your counterpart. One of his tips is to cut out all adjectives since they have the potential to be misinterpreted or taken personally. Share only facts. For example, instead of saying, I think that first quarter deadline is naive, you can say, we've tried 4 projects like this in the past and we were able to do 2 in a similar time period, but those are special circumstances. Weeks also recommend staying neutral and focused. Lay off the players and be vivid about the problem. Try to make it an honest disagreement, a worthwhile advancement of thought. Stay humble. Emphasize that you're offering your opinion, not gospel's truth. It may be a well-informed, well-researched opinion, but it's still an opinion. So talk attentively and slightly understate your confidence. Instead of saying something like, if we set an end of the quarter deadline, we'll never make it. Say, this is just my opinion, but I don't see how we're going to make that deadline. Weeks suggest adding a lot of guiding phrases like, I'm thinking aloud here. This will leave room for dialogue. Having asserted your opinion as a position, not a fact, demonstrates equal curiosity about other views. Says Grenny, remind the person that this is your point of view and then invite critique. Weeks suggest trying something like, tell me where I'm wrong with this, and be genuinely open to hearing other opinions. So again, is if you stick with facts and speak as you would normally, it won't come off as an attack. So, don't treat it like this is big formal sit down, ask a lot of questions, the deadline for the project is next Friday. I have these 3 tasks as well as this new project. How do you want me to prioritize things for this deadline? Because realistically, it's going to be really difficult for me to get things done by that date. It's kind of like the author had mentioned earlier, bring up examples from the past so they have something to compare it to. Have them be part of the solution, but also come prepared with your own. They might want you to just prioritize this one project and everything else goes on the back burner. But again, you aren't going to know that unless you ask. So acknowledge their authority. Ultimately, the person in power is probably going to make the final decision. So acknowledge that. You might say, I know you'll make the call here. This is up to you. That will not only show that you know your place, but also remind them that they have choices. Don't backtrack on your opinions or give false praise, though. You want to show respect to the person while maintaining your own self-respect. I always say things like, it's up to you. I'll make it happen, whatever you decide, but I just wanted to put all this out there. Not only are you acknowledging their authority, but it shows them that you're a team player and someone who's dependable. And don't take it personal if things don't go your way. When I was younger, I used to make that mistake all the time, and it just is such a waste of time and energy. You're just getting all kind of just sore about, why didn't it go this way? Well, they don't think I'm smart. They don't think I know. It's not worth it. Ultimately, if they make a call that goes against what they wanted, or against what you wanted, they're accountable for that decision, not you. So don't feel like it's a slight against you. Again, there may be other factors involved that you don't know of. Once you show you can handle disagreements professionally and still show that you're a team player, that's what's going to fill up the trust bank quickly. And then your credibility will really improve with that person and allowing people to really value your input as time goes on. So, just some principles to wrap this post up and this article up. She says principles to remember. So the do's are explain that you have a different opinion and ask if you can voice it. Restate the original point of view or decision so it's clear you understand it. Speak slowly. Talking in an even tone calms you and the other person down. And then a couple from me, try to start from a place of mutual understanding and ask a lot of questions, and commit to being a team player regardless of the decision made. And then the don'ts, she says, assume that disagreeing is going to damage your relationship or career. The consequences are often less dramatic than we think. State your opinions as facts. Simply express your point of view and be open to dialogue. Use judgment words such as hasty, foolish, or wrong that might upset or incite your counterpart. And then again, one from me is don't take it personal. So with that, that's going to wrap up this article. Again, this can be kind of used not just for, conversations with a supervisor or someone in a position of power, but also any kind of conversation you have that you might think is going to be a little bit difficult. So I hope this helps. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them below. Also, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Again, you remember to check out my website, www.pbeatty.com. And hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you soon.